about, I think, Canadian applications
Yeah.
mostly, and Swastik and Aditya will speak about US and so on. So I would like to thank especially Swastik and Aditya because it's very morning for them. They have to wake up early. But yeah, okay, Kimai, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So my screen is visible, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So hello everyone, and today I'll be giving some tips on how to apply for a PhD position in Canada. But this is mostly general. Like even I applied at places other than Canada, but this like few points will be Canada specific and some other general points. So what do you have to start with is that for Canada, you can enter two ways. Like you can have a direct entry program or you can have a department admission. What that means is for a direct entry program, you contact a professor. The professor takes your interview and he is the one funding you. So it's totally in his control. The department is just a formality. Applying to the department is just a formality. And other thing is the department admission where you apply to the department and then you also get rotation here, and you can try in three different labs for a year and then you can select the lab. So usually people choose direct entry program when they are sort of sure of what they want to do because you don't have the opportunity to rotate. So what you can do is you can start making list of profs. I made a typo. You can start making an Excel sheet or something of the profs you are interested in with their several columns like the university name and all that. From August, September itself, you can start looking for profs and you can start emailing them too. And I think emailing is the most important thing. Like whether like doesn't matter if you're going to do department admission or direct entry program, but emailing is very important because when you email a prof, like 90% of the times they won't reply, but when they do, you get an idea about you get an idea of whether you will get into that place or not, because sometimes the professors themselves say that you are not among the top 1 percentile or something. So that saves dollars because you cannot apply to 20 places, like each of them having $100 fee. So at the end of the year you have to shortlist a few universities. So emailing is very important. That helps you to know the prof better, and also like he can take your personal interviews and then you can know how the prof is. So start looking for profs from August or September, and then start emailing them too. And the deadlines for Canada are usually January, early January, and Canada takes admission in both the winter term as well as the fall term. So if you're like planning to take a break for a term, Canada can like takes admission in the winter term as well. And normally there is no separate funding application that you have to fill, as in if you are admitted via department, the department funds you, and if it's a direct entry program, the department and the prof funds you. But there are several other scholarships that you can apply which are like country specific, and like your PhD application doesn't affect that. Like those are independent from your PhD application, so you can also apply to that later. Next, so when you mail the profs, so this structure might vary person to person, but what I would advise is like they don't have time to read a detailed email. So what you can do is you can keep the email structure very simple, as in my name, my year I study at IISER, and I want to join your lab as a PhD. That's it, just 4 or 5 lines. You can have the details in your attachment, because in case he is looking for a PhD student, he will look into the attachments. If not, he'll just not reply or just ignore it. So keep the email very short. And about the attachments, I would advise that you start making SOPs, like thinking about how to make an SOP right from September, because like having a very fine version of SOP takes a lot of time, because you will give it to your friends, they'll edit you, your seniors, and then you'll reach the perfect version only towards the later part of the year when the deadline is soon nearby. So it's okay. You can start from September. You can just have a simple draft and that can be edited. And you can have your CV, a very compact CV, and transcript is optional. You can attach it, or it's okay even if you don't attach in your first email. If the professor asks for transcript, you can just add it. So these are the attachments. Just keep the structure of the mail very simple and short. So I got admitted via a direct entry program, so I'll tell more about it. So in a direct entry program, you mail the prof, you attach all the email, you send the email, all the attachments and stuff. And if he wants a PhD student, he will reply you back, and then he'll take your interview. And that is the most important interview in direct entry program. So later on, I had another interview with the department, but it is the prof who has everything in control. He'll tell you that I want a PhD student, I'll be funding you, so you are into the program. The department will just take an informal interview just for the sake of it. So in a direct entry program, it is very important to keep the prof in loop, because sometimes if the prof is generous, he can help you edit the SOP as well and everything, just so that it looks good to the department. So this is how the direct entry program works. And I actually wasn't sure of what I want to do, like in which area I want to do a PhD till the end, till my thesis. But then this process itself of looking for profs helped me a lot. And my um, third year internship told, like, I took hints from there that okay, I can work in this area. So it's okay if you don't know in which area you'll be working. You always have the department wise admissions. Or if, I mean, if an area is even slightly interesting to you, you can email the prof and look for the direct entries. So, sorry. So here is a bit of advice which is not Canada specific. So you're going to do a PhD in a place for, if it is Canada or US, for at least 5 to 6 years. So you should try to know the prof better. And in an interview, always keep in mind, okay, the prof is taking your interview, but it is not just one sided. You also can ask him questions and know better about the lab. And when you do a thesis, I would suggest that focus on your thesis as well. Like some people, what they do is, okay, I just have to do a PhD after thesis, so I'll just, like, they sideline the thesis and focus only on this emailing and this PhD stuff. But all, most of your questions which the prof will ask, and mostly what he will be interested in, which I think from my experience, is your thesis work. So they'll ask questions about your thesis. They'll ask you to present your thesis, how much ever you have done till that month. So focusing on thesis work is equally important. I know it's a bit difficult to manage both the thesis as well as his applications, but yeah, equally focusing on thesis work is important. Also, email at several places. Like if you have a country in mind that okay, I want to go only in this country, then it's fine. But if you are like open-minded and you don't mind doing a 5-year PhD over a 3-4 year PhD in Europe, then I suggest that you email at several places and short down, like make a short list the profs based on your conversations with them, based on their work, and apply at a few places. Because I think applying to, like, you can have your own like cutoff depending on your budget and stuff like that, but applying to many places is also not a good thing. I mean, you can if you want to, but like you can look at the history, like how many international students they have taken, because in COVID the number of international students that especially US has taken is very less. So depending on their history, how much students they take and all, you can apply to a particular place. And every place in Canada and US has an application fee. Even if it is a direct entry program, you have to apply to the through the department. So you should shortlist, and for that you should start early. Starting early is my most important advice, that start early. And then take feedback from your seniors for your SOP. They will revise it. And in short, I can tell you the structure of SOP. It can be short of a story, like, in the sense, story in the sense, you can explain it in a timeline, that my first internship was this and I got this from that internship, and second was this, and why you want to work in a specific area. So so what I did was that, and in the first 2 years I was not sure that I wanted to do my PhD in circadian rhythm. So that is what I have explicitly mentioned in my SOP, that for the first 2 years I wasn't sure that I wanted to do a PhD in your area, in this area. But in the third year, I thought that okay, I can do. And you can write that you are willing to learn more in that area. So that is also okay. It's just that you should mention your skills explicitly in your CV, that you know whatever it is, lab work, field work, whatever skill sets are very important. So that must be explicitly mentioned in your CV, and that is what matters, because you are not going to know everything about every subject. So that is okay. And then also be way ahead of your deadline, because if you are close to the deadline, it becomes difficult to manage the transcripts and everything, because DNACAT takes a lot of time sometimes to issue some documents. So like be way ahead of the deadline, so you have everything in your hand. And yeah, that's it. Yeah, and if you have any other questions, you can just email me at this email ID.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kumara. Any questions at this point, or if there aren't questions, we can ask Rasik and Aditya to also give their input. But we'll just pause for a minute to ask these questions. Okay. I wanted to ask maybe Swastik Anna, you could talk about your experience in the US and maybe how that's different
Yes,
from
yes. Yeah, sure.
here.
Thanks. Great, great presentation, Kima. Like,
Thank you.
almost she has covered everything as such. Yeah, as in, I didn't apply to any professors as such. As in United States, it's mostly you apply to a program. There are very less direct PhD thing where you email professor and they take care of your application. But then, yeah, that is also there. So in United States, mostly it is coming through programs, and I'll talk more about how to look for departments or how to search for universities because I was clueless in the beginning, how to go about this at the first place. So I mean, there is no particular way, as in like there is no hard and fast rule that this is the way to go about it. But then you by now mostly you would have gotten some idea at least about which universities you want to apply. It's already September now. Yeah, and in United States, it's mostly December deadlines. It's December 1st deadline, or very few programs have December 15th as the deadline. So by now you should I would suggest that by now at least you should have a little bit of idea. It's completely okay if you have no idea at all. It's completely okay if you're clueless. If you're starting right now, it's cool, no problem. Don't worry at all. So I would personally suggest install Twitter on your phone and start following different scientists or universities as well because that gives you very real time updates about the applications opening of different application PhD programs and if you follow certain scientists or certain people certain professors they keep retweeting their friends or any other contacts they have if they're looking for graduate students or something like that so you'll get a lot of networking from Twitter. It's a very good platform. I would suggest to do that. And then, yeah, as Kimaya suggested, make an Excel sheet uh, and yeah, make an Excel sheet. Have columns like which universities you and GRE. I want to talk about GRE. I gave GRE and it's utter bullshit. As in, it's a very bad exam. The one of the worst exams I've ever given is GRE. As in, doesn't make any sense. And later I realized most of the biology programs do not need GR in USA, even before the pandemic actually. So I was I was not informed about this before. So just look for universities. I have a list. Yesterday I was searching for this. I did get a list of universities which do not want GRE as such. I can send it to Sushant. You can forward it to people. Then, yeah. So just don't yeah, I mean, I would personally say biology people, I mean, they say that it's recommended. It's not compulsory as such. It's okay, cool. I mean, if you want to give, you can give. TOEFL makes more sense in terms of, judging your English skills, but here is utter bullshit. So,
I'm sorry, I would like to just add in once. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
so
please.
even if you're, let's say, preparing for GRE, I wouldn't advise preparing so much for it. GRE,
Exactly.
as like, it's generally used just as a threshold. I mean, so they just use it, maybe you get a decent mark, that's enough. You don't need to spend 3 months for it and just get 330. A GRE score will not make or break your application, that's for sure.
Correct.
I mean, you cannot compensate for your other shortcomings by getting a good GRE score. So
Exactly.
even if you are, I wouldn't suggest putting so much time for it. Yeah, you go ahead.
Right. Yeah. He said it's right. As in, it really doesn't matter if you give JRE or not. Even if you're, I mean, all of us in IISERs are trained very well to talk a little bit of English, and that much is enough. And if you don't, they'll train you here. After you come here, they give some, ask you to do some English courses. That's completely all right. And then, yeah, how to go about professors? One, ask your wherever you're doing thesis, ask your PIs. Firstly, it's okay even if you don't know, if you want to continue in the same area as in what you're doing in your fifth year thesis. So it might be that you're doing in some area, like say if you're doing in neuroscience or something, but you want to shift it to cancer biology, but you have no background in cancer biology. So you'll think, oh no, I don't have any background. How can I even apply? How can I even talk to that professor as such? But in US, it's a very good thing which I found. So even if you have no idea, we have the opportunities of rotating in different labs. So it's not too important to narrow down right now your interests and other things. So it's completely okay if you're completely clueless about what to do, but just don't be too much clueless. Also, just you should at least know. Okay, you're interested in molecular biology or cell biology. That much is enough. And if you're willing to show that interest and show that I am consistent and hardworking, that I'm ready to learn. If you teach me, I'm ready to learn. And my history says that I have done well till now in terms of learning or whatever. That's enough. I mean, that's what they're looking for. They want people who don't, just for the sake of doing a PhD. They don't want to fund you. They don't want to pay you for just to coming here and roaming around. They want you to work. That's it. It's okay if you don't know it right now. So that's completely all right. So just make sure you know the departments which you want to apply. Also, what I personally followed was categorize these universities based on the acceptance rate. As in, like, I applied to two Ivy Leagues. Of course, I didn't get it, but yeah, I did apply to two Ivy Leagues, and then three medium tier universities. In which, as in, it's not an Ivy League, but it's not, the acceptance rate is not too much. Also, like it's not like 60-70%. And then three or four, I guess, and then two of the universities which are like okay, like just for your backup. If you, it might be a backup for you, but it might be a great university for others. I'm not saying in that way, but yeah, you can categorize in this way and apply to certain universities. Yeah, I did again, as I said, it depends on your funding. Yeah, as she said, correct. That emailing, apply before applying, you just send out emails. Just it's pakka that they'll not be replying. That's 100%. Don't be sad. Don't be disappointed if they don't reply. It's for sure they'll not reply. Think that, keep that as a baseline and just apply. Few might reply, and they'll, of course, they come through the program. Your work looks good, your CV looks good, I like it, but come through the program. But it's okay, at least they know that you exist. So that's great. And even if you don't get a PhD, after all this whatever headache you take in these 2 months, even if you don't get a PhD, if you have made contact with any professor, you can actually ask for a research assistant position for 1 year to do a research project, 1 year or 2 years, and then you can think of continuing the same lag for PhD. That's a different plan. Like that's always there. So, but keeping in touch with them would actually help a lot, even if you're applying through programs. But it's okay even if they don't reply at all. And then what else I want to say?
One thing.
SOPs, right? Yeah, yeah.
And just one thing. One thing for one way for looking for profs could be that if you like a paper, if you're reading a paper and
Correct.
if you find the paper interesting, you can just contact the author and tell. And I mean that can be one way, but we know that we don't read like a lots of papers. But
Exactly.
like, if you find something very interesting, you can just directly contact the author and ask for position. Yeah, that's it. Go ahead.
Correct. That's true. And do a good job in your thesis as well. As she said, doing good job in thesis matters. It does matter. I understand by the end of December, you won't be having much of results or data. Nothing would be there. I had nothing, zero things to say, but at least have an idea about what you are doing, what you intend to do in your thesis at least, and what have you planned to do in your thesis as such. It's okay, you're not independent in your thesis also. You'll be joined with a PhD mentor or someone. Talk to him, talk to her, ask what we are actually doing. Have a have an idea about what you're exactly doing and what you wish to do in future also. Having clarity helps a lot, but then that's what we lack at the most at this position. But it's okay, completely okay. And then yeah, SOP, as she said, start writing it right now. It's already September 26th. It's high time now. You should start by the, I would suggest by the end of November you should have the final draft. Not even end, I guess. I would mid November you should have the final draft, because even after you feel it's final, you have to modify it according to different universities. So that will also take a little bit of time. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah. So when you're emailing profs, like what I did is I had a paragraph in my SOP with just few lines which were specific to that prof, like not
Correct.
much, and he doesn't require you to be specifically interested in his topic. He just wants to know your background via the SOP, but you can just like make sure that there are a few lines in your SOP which are specific to his work, so that he knows that you have not just like randomly emailed him. You have gone through his website and stuff like that. So you have a paragraph in your SOP which is specific to the prof's work. Yeah, that's it.
True. Good. Yeah, that's true. And don't. I mean, that's. I guess every university has same rule that don't exceed more than 2 pages. It should be maximum 2 pages. Yeah. So and yeah, one more thing. Yes, making CV is a very important step. And you in United States. I mean that this was I did my thesis in Samrat's lab, and he said he was very great asset. So he suggested me not to put your photographs or don't make it colorful and put different fonts, very fancy fonts. Don't do that. I mean I did the same thing and I was said no, don't do this. Keep it very simple, very professional. It should look very professional. It might look very boring to you. To us it would look very boring because for us, for the first time, we are applying for a abroad university. It's not first time, but we would like it to look very impressive and stuff. But keep it very simple, just boring, just few columns about your academic history. Don't put your school grades or 12th, 10th, nothing. The only column I had in was PSMS. That's it. So it's okay. It doesn't need to look fulfilled CV. It should not be so much filled also. And it's completely okay if you don't have publications and all. Don't worry about publications. In no way. We, I guess I thought didn't have any uh, publication while I was applying. Yeah, I guess pretty much this what I wanted to say.
Yeah. One more
And
thing I'd like to add. Yeah.
mhm.
So you'll have an Excel sheet, right? So make sure you have a column which is like comments, because most of the times what happens is a prof says, email me next month and then I'll have a better idea about do I need a PhD student or not. So, and you email so many profs that you like cannot keep a track of. Yeah, and you cannot like memorize every prof's name. So just have a like comment section in your Excel sheet where you can just state that okay, he asked me to get back to him in the end of November or whatever the comment is. Yeah.
Yes, and then finally, as in like it's completely okay. PhD is not just the only life after BSMS. It's completely okay if you don't get a PhD after all doing all of this stuff. Also, uh, it's completely okay. You can apply for other research assistant positions and take a break, think about it, and then you can take a call. There are a lot of other opportunities you can start applying to. I mean if you want that, you have a lot of time for that, but it's just don't be too disappointed or don't get dejected that oh no. I mean your friends start getting acceptance letters and all of it, but you're not getting it. What is happening with me, even though you're too good or whatever. And don't worry about your I mean you should worry about little bits of CPI. uh, I mean, 8 is what they expect, of course. Above 8 or above 8 is in general is required, but I don't think so. I mean, because I'm not a 10 pointer or something like that. So I'm very general, but yeah, just show that you're passionate and just show that you're hardworking. Then that's it. That should be enough.
Yeah. One more thing I would like to add is like keep your professor like in your priority list. Have your professor over your university. I mean, what kind of university it is, the ranking and all that. Because what you're going to do is ultimately work in your lab, do a certain kind of work. So if you have some work which you don't like much, but it's in a good place, a better place than another work where you like the at another place where you like the work, but the university is not that great. So what I would suggest that always choose the place where you like the work. Yeah,
One
over
just
the
just to
university.
add to Kimaya's comment, as in initially we won't be knowing what we want to work. No, as in that's also a possibility. So in that case, I mean, United States gives you a very good opportunity. As of now, I'm confused between two fields. I don't know what to do. So I'm still, I mean, rotating in these labs, and I'll finalize only in next year. So it might be that you don't know which professor or what exactly you have to work. So Pakka you'll not be knowing as of now. You might be knowing. That's great, well and good, of course. For most of us, we don't be knowing, but it's okay. Yeah. So as she said, in general, you look at the professors and general look at the universities. If they both match a little bit, okay, fine, I can do it. Okay, then just go apply for it. Yeah, great. Maybe
Yeah.
yeah,
So
very
I would
quickly.
like to just, I mean, so Swastik's kind of mentioned everything mostly,
Yeah.
but I would like to add something on kind of like what I experienced. So I kind of knew what I wanted to work on. So I had specific labs which I wanted to apply to, and this was a area which I hadn't worked on, uh, and that's okay, and that's completely okay. The chances are it's going to be more difficult, but the thing is that you can always use your SOP to your advantage. So I'll tell you. So I worked on more behavioral aspects of bad echolocation and a lot of other stuff, and I wanted to shift to a more neural basis. And what I wrote in my SOP was that, I mean, I was looking at behavior and I wasn't very happy with the kind of problems that I was looking at. I wasn't able to. I want to understand a bit more. I wanted to look at a more broader perspective, and you can always use your SOP to your advantage. And that is why I would stress highly that you spend time on your SOP, because it's not easy to write. It's boring. It's going to take a lot of time.
Too
So,
frustrating.
I mean, I struggle a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. Very good.
yeah. So take your time for it, and it's all about in some sense it's all about selling yourself, right? That's all what your SOP is doing,
Yes.
right? So you kind of build a story about what you want to do. Think about it. So, I mean, think about what you want to do and how you can use your experience that you've done. Let's say your internship, okay, you one particular class that you took, how you can use that for your story. I mean, I'm not saying you need to lie. You don't need to do that. I mean, and there doesn't need to be a connection also, and that's okay. So just spend time on your SOP. So so what a general rule of thumb that what I used to do was that, so I used to email professors. So, and since I kind of knew what I wanted to work on, I was looking for universities which didn't have rotations. So, and most of the university that I applied to was these specific labs which I wanted to work on. So what I used to do was I used to email them, and if they said that they were taking students, then only I used to apply for that department programs. Because, I mean, as I said, it's expensive, right? You don't want to spend. So I don't want to work in any other labs, and that's okay. So, like, I mean, if you don't know what you want to do, that's fine. Then rotation is a great deal. But so there are issues when you are so in the department that I'm working in, there's no rotation. I knew exactly which lab I was going to come to. So there are other issues associated with when you don't have rotations, because you don't know how the lab's going to be. Right? Let's say you get accepted. Uh, I mean, it's a big deal. You're going to be here for five years, and you're going to come to one lab, and let's say the lab doesn't work out. That lab environment is not great. Then it's so you don't know. So if you are going to come to a department which doesn't have rotations, I would highly stress talking to uh, see other members of the department, alumni, and see how the lab is. Because in the end, what's important is that what's important is the environment that you're working in, and the research. That's important. That's absolutely important. You want to do something that you are interested in. But if it's a I mean, I've seen places where it's just so competitive. With like here, I mean, it's not common. It's not uncommon that, like, let's say, there are these big labs where you have these PIs. You kind of, since the lab's too big, what they do is that they kind of assign the same PhD project to two people, okay, and whoever gets it gets a publication. And so,
Wow.
I mean, if you are someone who likes working in a competitive environment, then that's great. But I mean, so depending upon what you kind of, what's your safe zone, what type of environment you want to work on, so it's absolutely important to know that. But I mean, this is after you get accepted. But so the single most important thing that I would stress about is your research experience. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like what all you worked on. So I worked on a lot of stuff. Like I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, and I did like different internships. All were in different fields. But the thing was that, like, I mean, so once you do enough kind of internships, you can find some way to connect them, and that's what I did. So in my SOP, I wrote that like I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, and because of that, I kind of explored, and that's fine. They're pretty okay with it. So the and that's the good thing about US, right? So in my cohort, there are engineers, there are people from chemistry, there are people from mechanical engineering, and that doesn't matter. See, what matters is the kind of uh, passion that you can show for your research, and this and this see it's a very in some sense it's also very rude because they are going to judge you based on this one document as SOP, and so which is why you need to stress, you need to like spend enough time for it. So I would say the single most important thing is your research experience, and uh, so spend time on your SOP, and then GRE, it's so depends. So if you have a specific lab you want to work on, and if that university still requires GRE, then I would suggest it. But uh, a lot, even if you're writing it, like I said, don't spend too much time on it. I would. It's probably not worth it. TOEFL is anyways mandatory, but TOEFL you don't need to prepare anything. You can just go and write it. That's fine. But GRE, it's so look for it. And GRE, it's not. It's really messed up, right? So like right after you give your GRE, you need to tell which all universities you want to apply to, and a lot of times you don't know it. So and for after like let's say like you're applying for 6 universities. GRE like you can only send official scores of GRE to 4 universities. You need to pay extra, right? It's a messed up system, but it's a lot of fortunately, a lot of biology departments don't require GRE right now. So, yeah, so like I wouldn't say I'm not saying it's not important, but I mean it's a shitty exam. Yeah. So yeah, so spend enough time for it. Start. I mean, like you still have time. I mean, I kind of started like around this time, September. Uh, I mean, work on it. Start working on your SOP. Like ask people, like give it to seniors, spend time on that, and then so a lot of universities will also require a personal statement. It depends. I mean, so like the university that I applied to needed a personal statement. It kind of giving more on a more personal level. So just look at what all your department requires. Exactly what Kimaya told. Do that, and then yeah, so get feedback. I think feedback is definitely the most important thing. I mean, there are people, we've all been through this. We all can help. So I mean, you can reach out to us. That's fine. It's see, we understand that it's a very stressful time, and 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 the sad thing about it is that it depends a lot on your luck. So if
It's
you are lucky,
completely like I agree
I
with you.
mean,
I
I
agree.
mean, if you're lucky, you get everything happens fast. If you're not lucky, just and that's and but there's really no way out of it, right? So,
Yeah.
uh, so keep applying. That's what it like. All you need is kind of like one that which clicks, right? Uh, so SOP, your if it requires a personal statement, that then and I would say, I mean, I would like to add something on a more personal note. Uh, Imposter syndrome is very real when you are applying for a PhD position. So, I mean, I used to feel so like I almost didn't apply to the university that I am in right now because I thought I wouldn't get in, right? Because I thought I wasn't worth it, right? Because it's, I mean, I remember what I used to do. I mean, the labs that I used to go to, like that I wanted to go to, I used to go to the lab website, see the PhD students. I used to go look at their CV, and then I was like, okay, what am I doing? So it doesn't matter. Okay, I mean, so like stop underestimating yourself. I mean,
True.
I'm not. So imposter syndrome is something that you're going to face no matter what level you're in. But especially when you're applying for a PhD position, it's a lot more stressful. And so talk to people and and spend time enough on it. And that's what, there's so many options, there's so many different options. And if if you, that's like, as Swastik told, there's so many. So uh, I had graduated in 2020, and then I didn't apply that year because I thought I wanted a break. And I had applied for an RA position. So there are like so many, which didn't work out. I was stuck at home, but there are so many RA positions, and like it's so there are like so many different opportunities. So what I would suggest is that like you like spend like use still have time. Let's say like you don't like, let's say like 1 hour for this, find labs that you want to work on. And as Kimai said, I wouldn't stress on university ranking. It doesn't matter. See, what matters is the kind of quality of resource that's being produced. Is a good paper is being produced, how the department is. And let's say like, okay, let's say like you you get into one place which is a higher rank, and other universities which is lower rank, but the work that you find at the other lower rank university is better. And and that's that's exactly what matters, right? And then what so nobody's going to judge you. uh, See, it's a little double-edged sword. I mean, it might in some sense, but the single most important thing that they're going to judge you is based on your research. So it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're not coming, and a lot of these places, it doesn't matter. It's just a university name, right? And they don't have, they might, a lower rank university might have better research. So don't just stick to university rankings. Stick to labs, like labs that you would find yourself working in, and reach out to alumni, reach out to people, and they'll, like, I used to reach out to a lot of people, like alumni, and just ask how the lab is, how is the PI. And so eh, so I don't know how many universities have it, so like, but my department, they had an interview. So I submitted my PhD application in December, December 15th, and then I had an interview process in February. And it was virtual. I'm sure this is going to be virtual this year too. And so if see, I would say the single most important thing is clearing the first round, because they are judging you based on this, on just based on this paper, right? Uh, you cannot express yourself, but once you get into the interview round, it's a lot easier, I feel, because you can talk about what you want to do. You can talk about it's and these interview processes are very chill. Like, at least like what I had to actually, yeah. And most of them, it was just casual conversations, right? Just asking what you want to do, why you want to do. So if you do get like once you clear past the first round, spend time on all of these, just asking, like, not on, like, they're not going to test you on your scientific knowledge. I mean, none of them. So like, the first thing that my PI told was that, like, I mean, we're not expecting you to know anything, okay? Like, I mean that's the good thing about US system, is that you have a lot of time. It's going to take a little bit more time than Europe, but you have time to explore yourself. And uh, in my department, you only need to give your first year resource proposal by the end of your first year. So you have time to explore. They're not expecting anything. So they don't, they're not, in Europe, it's probably a little bit more difficult, because, I mean, you're already applying to a specific lab and you're going to start working, and the timeline is a little bit more tight. But here, if there's one field that you really want to work in and you don't have the experience, that's fine. Uh, I will definitely say that it might be a little bit more difficult to get it, but I mean, it's not difficult. It's not difficult. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what I said.
Do we have time? Or like,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have time. Yeah. So
huh.
Abhijit, go ahead.
yeah, no, I mean, Kimaya, I think Kimaya wants to add something, so she might go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, what I wanted to say is starting early, or even if you are like at the zero stage right now, start now, because this process itself of googling professors, reading their papers, that itself gives you the direction. So just start early, start now. If you haven't started yet, start now. And yes, as Aditya mentioned, like whatever you have done, even if it is like you have done all the internship in the same field, you have done all your internships in molecular biology, or it's the other way around, you have done every internship in different fields, whatever it is, you can use it to your advantage. And I can give my example in the sense that my first internship was biochemistry, second internship was cancer, and third internship was circadian. And that's what I actually wrote in my SOP, that in the first internship, I tried several things, and I sort of had a knockoff approach, in the sense, in the first internship I did this, but the one thing I literally wrote this, that the one thing that I got to learn from my first internship was that, okay, I understood I want to do science. That was the beginning from my first internship. That
Right.
yes, from this first internship, I got to know that, okay, I can do science, I can do lab work. So it's okay. You can literally write what you think. First internship, say I got that. Okay, I want to do science. Second internship, say I got to know. Okay, I can do something that is more translational, like can be translated from lab to the human things. Or if you are doing field work, you can be like, okay, I just want to answer a curious question. It may not have any medical application. And that is what I'm interested in. I just want to know immigration of birds, something like that. So you can just write what you feel in your recipe. And yeah, like you don't, and if, I mean, if you have done all your internships in the same field and you want to do your PhD in the same field, that's, you can use that too as to your advantage. That okay, I have lots of skill sets. I've done all my internship in, and even one field has several subfields. Like okay, you have done your internship in neuro has behavior, electrophysiology, several other things, computational. So you, whatever you have done, you have to make sure that you use that to your own advantage, and that is the thing you can do in your SOP. And so start with your SOP. That's the only thing. And be patient. Like be very,
Yeah.
very, very
Very
patient. Like
patient.
there's no limit to the patience. I
It's
mean,
for
very
sure that
patient.
you'll get frustrated in this
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
100%. I
And
can
no
count.
prof will reply you. Like you email 10 profs in a day, no one will reply you. Next day, no one. Someone will reply you after, some profs even reply after months. But it's okay. 90% they won't reply at all. Oh,
Yeah.
1 on 10 they'll reply. So it's okay. Be patient, start early, and SOP is the key. Yeah.
I want to add one point, although I'm not in the field. This is something that Abhijit mentioned in a previous talk, and also a friend of mine told me. So even if you send out emails to profs and they don't reply, like Swastik said, they at least know you exist. In the sense, once you put your application, at least when they see it, the name will strike a bell, and they will
Exactly.
at least feel like reading the application because you sent them an email, even though
Yes.
they
Exactly. So
haven't.
you don't have anything to lose, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
so if they know that okay, this person is going to apply, I mean, so in US generally the committee members decide. The faculty members don't have a say in who comes in, who comes out. But maybe, I mean, it's just that like okay, this person has some funding, and like maybe if it's 5% increase in your probability of getting
yeah,
accepted,
Correct.
it's good, right?
yeah,
So you don't have anything to lose. So I would definitely suggest emailing people. Uh,
Right.
I mean, so like if a lot of people maybe they'll say like, I mean, apply to the program, but that's okay. But they know that like there's this guy applying, so they will definitely put more effort into it, just looking
yeah.
through applications and stuff.
There are people who actually take interest and read your email and
Yep.
comment on your thesis. There are people, so
There are
that might
people who will
actually
like
help you out.
suggest you other profs. Like, okay,
Actually,
I don't,
exactly.
yeah, I
Yep.
don't
Yeah.
have this, but you can
Absolutely.
apply to this and this guy. So
Right.
that's okay.
You might get lucky in that way
Yeah, yeah,
also.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Oh, yes, sir.
So just one more thing, like final, I want to add is just have a proper routine at least from now. It's high time. If you really want to come to apply to United States, start having a routine. Start early in your day so that you can do your thesis work and as well, take care of the PhD application as well because this takes a lot of time and your system will be filled with different tabs. You don't know what to do at what time. Just have a proper plan of the day. At what time? Okay, fine. Now I'll do thesis. I mean, thesis ka shuru. You do it in between whenever you get time. Just go browse, browse, browse different universities. Just keep doing it.
Started.
So,
Also,
yeah,
use the, that's one thing that I used often, the schedule send option in the email, because make sure that they receive that emails, early in the morning, because I mean,
yeah, correct.
several
That's
emails stack up. They receive a lot of
right.
emails.
And
So use the
and
schedule
usually
send
don't do it
option.
on weekends. Yeah,
Yep.
right.
And
I
also,
mean,
like I've
you,
seen, I don't know if people know about it, but there are these people who uses email trackers where they'll know if the prof has received it. Don't use it, please. They're very smart. They will know
Oh,
it.
okay. I
Yeah.
didn't
So
know
I
about
mean,
this.
so my PA was telling me that like I mean she just used to get these emails with these email trackers who kind of like okay, the professor has read it. Don't do it. It's infringement of privacy. Don't do
Mm.
it.
It will make you feel worse anyway. So they read your mail, they know where what you
Exactly.
did.
Right.
Yeah,
I guess we'll ask them to talk. I mean, You must be boring them with so much
Yeah,
of
yeah.
things.
So,
Yeah.
and
Any
we are open for
questions?
questions.
Yeah,
Anyone with any
questions,
questions,
comments, any discussions,
comments?
anything.
Yeah.
Comments, anything. Yeah.
Yeah, just even if you just want
I
to
mean,
vent out your
please. I mean, we are
frustration.
not this formal at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are never this formal. You can talk to us whatever you want.
Yeah, one more thing. Like for Canada and US, for Canada and US, the things like direct admission, the several things are similar, like your tenure of your PhD program and the cutoff for your CPA and all that stuff. But even in Canada, the percentage of students that they take via direct entry is much less than the percentage of students they take via the rotation program. So,
Oh,
and uh, whether that prof is going to take someone via direct entry or not, that you will know only if you email him. So emailing is
yeah.
the key. I mean, he'll reply. Yeah, you cannot know from the website that okay, is this prof going to directly take a student this year. So if you email, only then you'll get to know if he's taking you directly or via department. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Um,
Yes, sir.
any questions or comments? Yeah, Vijay, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm kind of surprised that none of the three of you have stressed on the letters of recommendation. I mean, because in all the other webinars, people made a lot of
Ah,
noise about letters of recommendation. So, is it not
correct.
that important
No,
for
Yeah.
biology?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll
that's
just
actually
start
a
with
good
mine.
point.
Okay. So I would say that, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's something that we really forgot about it. But letters of recommendations, it's important to ask letters of recommendations not from big shots or
No,
it doesn't matter. See,
not at all.
people who know you. I mean, so
Correct.
two of my recommendations were people from IISER Mohali, and one was from one internship that I did. And it doesn't see what they look in a letter of recommendation is just basically how, so they need to judge you, and they need a judgment from a scientist who can kind of see the potential. So that's what, like, see, none of us, like, I didn't have any publications, so I didn't have anything to say that okay, I have a strong scientific background, right? And a way for them to judge me as of a way for them to judge my potential to become a scientist is through this letters of recommendation, right? So ask for people, like, I mean, whom you know, okay, and do this early, okay, do this at least 2 or 3 months before, give
Yeah.
them enough time, okay. And you, I mean, it depends. So you might have to send them multiple reminders, like at the end there are people who will just submit at the end, and so
People like
so you
PG
will
will
have to
do
send
that.
multiple
Yeah.
reminders and all. But
PG will never
uh,
submit
yeah, so but
recommendations.
what I would stress is that, like, ask for letters of recommendations from people who know you well, and not just from courses, not just from on a superficial level, but whom you worked with, who can kind of uh, give on a more better level. So the best ones generally are with whom you worked, like, with whom you've done your internships. But yeah,
Then it's okay, I guess. Yeah. I mean, if you had good conversation, good interactions during your coursework as well,
that's
then
also great. That's also good.
that's
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
absolutely.
Because I was ditched by a professor at IISc that she said no.
Oh,
Yeah, she said directly, she said, no, we don't give recommendations for summer interns at all. So it's fine. It's totally fine. Isomology people are the best, actually saying. I've realized this after coming here. Isomology biology is really good. That's for sure. So you have very good people. As talk to them. Yeah, get this sorted.
Yeah,
US
and
requires 3 recommendation
yeah,
letters.
that's
Yeah,
what I was coming to. Like about the number,
yeah.
minimum three. Like
Minimum
minimum
three
three.
is what.
Yeah,
Yeah,
minimum.
that's good.
And a recommendation letter from your, like, I don't know, but my department specifically after applying and all sent an email that we need an SOP from your thesis guide. So that I think plays a more important role because you're doing longer work
Of
in
course.
your thesis. So that is very important. A recommendation letter from your thesis like weighs more maybe, but yeah, you should have that. But three is the minimum number.
Correct.
I just want to add one comment. When I said this before also, when you ask people for recommendations, also ask them how many they are comfortable in giving you. It's very
Correct.
important
That's true.
because I just assumed they'd give for many, but they just said I'll only give for two or three, which just ruins it all. In the sense, you also have to plan on how many universities to apply to. So you just ask people how many you will give, like just straight to your face, and they will. If they want to give many, they will say many. Otherwise, they will say like two or three. and then you can plan accordingly how many universities you want to apply with, how it will work. Yeah. Okay.
Also, I think for like in this case, physics department of IISER, I felt that is much stricter than the bio department. In bio, I don't think like profs told me that I'll only give two or something. But physics, may I have heard many students saying that there is a limit on the number of records they give. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
approach
speak from
early. Like
personal
it's high
experience.
time, guys. September 26th. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's high time. Start now. Yes.
Okay, so we will wait a little bit more if there are questions. We have spoken a lot.
Yeah.
Let,
Meanwhile, I'll request all the three speakers to type out their email addresses in the chat box.
Hmm.
Sure.
Of course. I want to WhatsApp also. I can. I
Yeah,
don't want
that's great.
to.
Yeah, sure.
I don't want to be too formal.
okay, seems like there aren't many questions. Any questions? Abhijit, do you think we should end?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if there are, yeah, if, okay, like, yeah, I think, yeah, let's end. If there
Okay
are
then.
no more questions or comments. So, yeah, so let's
Yeah.
thank all the
Thank
three
the speakers
speakers.
for
Yeah.
coming in the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh, also, feel free to write to them after.
Yeah,
Everyone
sure.
who sees the recorded session can also write to them after.
Please be free. Yeah, we're
And
not
like,
something. We're not formal professors or something. हम
yeah,
पूरा आप जैसे ही थे हम
yeah.
अभी भी ऐसे ही है. It's
No, and
completely
especially
honest.
because like since they have gone through exact same things before, they
Exactly.
can at least give you company through the tough times. At least like tell you it'll be fine or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, so, I mean, this is going to be a little, I mean, somewhat tough, this whole application process waiting for. So, I mean, it's going to take a toll on you. So, be mentally prepared and yeah, I mean, feel
Right.
free to reach out to any of us.
Yep.
Any of us. Any of us.
Yeah.
Anytime. Anytime.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, one thing that I say to many people is that you'll be a changed person after this whole
Yeah,
process.
Completely.
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
agree.
I
Your
As
agree.
saying
perspective
Sasak,
about academia,
in
about
this
life will
five
change.
six months, exactly.
Yeah.
You in this 5 6 months you'll age like 100 years more. God,
Yeah,
this is horrible.
yeah,
I mean, we are not ready for this adult life, man. It's too
yeah.
bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
One thing
fine.
I wanted to say is that this comes much later, but like everyone said, you must be prepared for rejections, and it helps to have some sort of a routine that helps you recover from rejections. In the sense that if you're rejected from a place, like either order food or like go do something, watch a movie, because like I was rejected from many places, and at the end, I at least wish that I had like done something to like make cheer myself up at the end because like, I would just feel sad. But yeah, that also helps. And do have a support system. Like find friends who are going through similar things, and I say just spend time with them also. Okay, great. So we will go now. Is that fine? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay then.
Okay,
Thanks
yes.
a lot. We will
Great
post a
seeing you
recorded
guys.
session soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Bye bye.
Okay. Thank you, Aditya. Thank you, Kumaya.
All the
Bye,
best.
Swati.
All the
Thank
best,
you.
guys. All the best, everybody. Bye bye.
Yeah. Thank
Bye.
you. Yeah. Take care.